I just wanted to pop in real quick to talk to you about social scripting. I have been working in a lot of classrooms lately with students who have echolalia, either immediate echolalia or delayed echolalia, and immediate means that their student is repeating back the very last word or phrase that you said. And delayed echolalia means that they're repeating back a phrase, a song lyric, something from earlier in the day or earlier in the year that they have kind of committed to memory and they repeat back repeatedly. So I'm working with the teachers who have students with echolalia in their classroom, and something that keeps coming up are strategies to use with those students. And I want to talk about social scripting specifically because it's a strategy that I suggest to teachers all the time, and I thought, why not pop in and share that so that those of you out there who will come to self-contained classrooms from Alt-Cert or are really new to working with students with significant disabilities, including autism, have something to use to work specifically with students who do that repetition back, or even just have problems initiating authentic speech. So I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story about a student that I used to work with, and I'm going to call him Bob, not his real name, but Bob was a student I taught about 10 years ago and used social scripting with him, really so that he could get through those initial stages of social interactions appropriately, despite the fact that he had a lot of repetitious speech and didn't do a lot of authentic communication. And I ran into him about a year ago, and here it was almost 10 years later, and he still recalled the social scripting and was able to do it with me consistently. 10 years down the road. I mean, that's huge when you start to think about a student being able to socially interact appropriately with communication that elicits a response from peers and from people in the community. Especially for a student who doesn't have those skills naturally. So I wanted to share that with you guys today, and the only tool that you need to do social scripting, like I always try to think of things that are easy to do and don't cost a lot of money, but all you need is a little speech bubble. So this little speech bubble is just printed on plain paper. If you have cardstock and want to do something a little thicker, you can do that. You do not have to laminate this bad boy unless you just love laminating. You can just leave it as a piece of paper. If it gets ruined, ripped, or destroyed, throw it out and print it again. Because quite honestly, you're going to change some pieces of your social scripting, and you might find that your student masters certain social scripts faster than others. You might write on one of these and just not need it as long as you thought you did. But if you are a laminator at heart and you love the smell of that lamination in the morning, don't let me stop you. So this was a social interaction or social scripting sequence that I did with Bob, and I'm just going to model it out for you real quick so you can see what that looks like. Hi, Bob. How are you today? I'm great. Thank you for asking. That was it, just a 3 exchange sequence. So for this one, it was that when someone said, "Hi, Bob," he knew to acknowledge them by name if he could. Then, almost naturally, when we're having social communication interactions, the person will say, "How are you today?" Or "What's going on?" So we came up with this kind of bucket response for him to use, which is, "I'm fine, thank you, how are you?" Trying to build a social exchange. And then the person that you're talking to would obviously respond. His response would be, "Great, talk to you later." Because quite honestly, he didn't want to continue the social interaction too much longer, and to try to script beyond that was a little difficult for him, that it could work in multiple situations. But with this 3-person exchange, we were able to address a lot of social situations. And like I said, a decade on, he was still using this sequence to communicate with people. If you do have students that you're working with who you don't think will be able to read the text that's on these cards, it's okay for you to add a graphic or substitute a graphic so that the student is able to see a graphic and cue a behavior. What we're really looking to do is capitalize on the student's natural response to repeat and ability to hold on to almost verbatim language in a response. By capitalizing on the echolalia and using it to our benefit, what we can actually do when we're using these sequences is build it into this repeated rote memory that we can use for our benefit to build social skills. So if you're going to use this social scripting, you can use an icon, you can use one of the voice boxes, caption icons. You can use those just to start to build in this kind of repetitive response that always is going to be the same. Once you've got this, you can start to work on those nonverbal cues, those nonverbal communication pieces that are a little bit harder, which might just be to refrain from rocking, to make some kind of eye contact, to speak audibly. For some of our students, that tends to be a problem. Once we start to work on this script, that's a great time for you to start to work on those subsequent skills, so that in this social interaction, even if it's only a 3 exchange social interaction, I look as neurotypical as possible and can really start to build some improved social communication. So that's social scripting in a nutshell, and hopefully it'll work for you. If you have any other strategies or stories that you'd like to share with me, please reply in the comments or drop me an email. There's actually more about working with students with echolalia on my site at www.noodlenook.net, so I highly suggest you pop over there and just search for echolalia. You'll be able to find more articles and information about how to support students who repeat back what you've said while you're teaching. So stay strong, teach on, teachers, and hey, if you like this video, sharing is caring. Share on Pinterest, share on Facebook, tweet us. We'd love to hear from you. So take care, stay strong, teach on.